Welcome back to the Super-Centex Podcast. With me in their remote Thanksgiving locations are DJ Ramirez, Chad Conine. How are y'all?
Good. Is it the Tri-State podcast this week?
Tri-State? What state are you in?
I'm in New Mexico.
Okay. DJ's in Louisiana. Yeah, so we're covering some...
We got a broad region covered today.
We do. Yeah. So you're in Angel Fire?
Yep. Angel Fire, New Mexico.
Okay.
I wish I had a more scenic backdrop for you, but...
DJ's in parts unknown, Louisiana. What was that town again?
Opelousas.
Okay, I like it.
Here, I gotta show y'all something.
All right. I like it. We're going on a little trip here. And DJ looks like an Angel Fire.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
That's your backyard at home?
Yeah, that's just my parents' backyard.
Very scenic. Very scenic. Nice.
Well, let's see if this works or not. Can y'all see anything there?
Oh, a little snow. Yeah.
That's snow.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Snow, trees.
Yeah.
The mountain's kind of off the other direction.
I could show y'all my front yard, but it needs to be mowed, so I'm not going to do that. So, guys, it is Turkey Week, and let us give thanks because we have some tasty matchups this week. How about that? Every Central Texas team out there has a 9-3 or better record, and they're all playing teams in the same gravy boat. So which of these round 3 games has the potential to produce the best game?
I mean, there's an obvious answer, right, DJ?
I mean, I have 3 games kind of circled down, but one that I feel might come out better than the rest. I mean, Lorena-Columbus is going to be really good, and Whitney-Winnsboro is going to be really good. But I think the implications of Chilton-Granger might be what make for the best game this week. I was on the phone with Benny Hewitt yesterday for my capsule, and Granger is Chilton's only loss of the regular season in district play, and it was a 3-point game. Lions won by a field goal, so I think a rematch might be really interesting, very entertaining. And everything that went down kind of towards the end of the season where they almost didn't count Chilton's wins and then ended up figuring that out. So Granger could have ended up as the district champion if that had panned out. I think this game is going to be pretty good based on everything that happened in district play.
Agreed. I like that one. Chad?
Well, with all due respect, and in the words of Hal Naughton Jr. on Talladega Nights, with all due respect to the Franklin Lions, I think Columbus-Lorena could be a state championship type of game. That's how well I think Lorena is playing right now. They, dynamic offense, playmakers at wide receiver to go along with Braylon Henry, who might be the best running back in Central Texas this year. As we reach this stage of the season, Kiefer Sibley and Kyle Barton, 2 other great ones. But now you get to the 3rd round of the playoffs, and Braylon Henry has been carrying that team, in a lot of ways.
He seems like he rolls out of bed and scores 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know. And that's when I say he's carrying that team, he's their bell cow, right? But Caden Roberts, Bryce, you saw a little bit of Caden Roberts on Friday night early in the 3rd quarter before they started, downshifting.
Yeah, that was my first chance. I'll interrupt you to see Lorena this year. So Rod and I, as Chad alluded, stopped in Corsicana. Chad was covering the game. Rob was stopped to take some pictures, and so I got a chance to see Lorena for the first time this year. Braylon Henry was Braylon Henry, and everything I expected. But from the very first pass that Caden Roberts threw, I looked at Chad and I said, "Wow, he does have a good arm." Go on.
Yeah. So I think Lorena is in really good shape right now. They also have, a lot of workman-like guys on defense that make plays. And a lot of their studs like Braylon Henry and Jaden Porter go, play on the defensive side as well. Wyatt Jones is a name that has to be mentioned with them because he's a lineman and he's almost like a rock star lineman. He goes in there at the Wildcat sometimes as the Wildcat quarterback when they want to change things up from Braylon at the Wildcat quarterback. So all of that promoting Lorena, and on the other side of the field from them, the Columbus Cardinals, I think at this point are the favorites to win the state championship. Now you got Franklin, like I said, all due respect, back-to-back state champions, but it's kind of like China Spring being back-to-back state champions. They got that roll going, and they're a tough name on the schedule, and they're a tough out for sure. But I don't think they're quite to the same level as they have been. Lorena, of course, beating them on their home field is a big chink in that armor. Mm-hmm. And so now, as soon as I say that, Franklin will storm back and end up winning it again, right?
Yeah, so I like both of those picks that y'all just talked about. The Chilton-Granger game, I'm actually planning on going to that one in Belton, and looking forward to that. It should be an exciting game. As Chad said, I think the winner of Lorena-Columbus could be the state favorite for sure. And then, DJ kind of skimmed over it, but Whitney-Winnsboro, Winnsboro undefeated. Whitney, we know what they've done all year, and I think have just built confidence as the season has progressed. David Haynes has that program going in the right direction, and probably, when they enter the field, they probably have a bit of a swagger, where they believe they can win, and that's half the battle sometimes. So,
yeah. For sure.
Yeah, so we've got only one all-Central Texas matchup on our schedule. We have 9 games this week. Oglesby will play Iredell in the Class 1A Division II regional final, state quarterfinals, whatever you want to call it. Both teams carry 11-game winning streaks into this game. Oglesby had one fewer game. I guess maybe there was a game in there that got canceled or something. Who do you guys like, Tigers or Dragons?
Well, I feel like part of me wanted to go Iredell on this one because they have been, such a upstart this season and
good
have,
story, yeah.
Gotten their legs under them. But I feel like, Oglesby is kind of a primed team. Had a good run last year, carried that right into this year, haven't been beaten. So I went with Oglesby in my picks.
DJ?
This was really hard pick, and I've been taking some risks this off season. Postseason. I'm ready for the off season. I'm not gonna lie. I've been taking some risks with my picks, but so I picked Iredell. I think Oglesby is top notch, and they're gonna come and do their job even if they struggle. They almost give up come back to Methodist home. There was that one game where I think everybody except me picked against them, and then I got an email that was like, you picked Oglesby and you were right.
Oh yeah, you're gonna give away all your street cred in Oglesby.
I know. I'm taking a big
valuable
risk here.
That's valuable property. It's valuable, emotional property.
Well, if they prove me wrong, they'll be able to hold that over me. So
yeah.
But I like Iredell, for that fact that they have picked up over the season. They've had to build up confidence and toughness, and and I remember talking to Luis Guerreca earlier in the year when I wrote my feature on him for Hispanic Heritage Month, and he was talking about how that first game of the season against May, first of all, wasn't even on the schedule. They had to switch opponents because their opponent, if I remember correctly, canceled on them like the day of. So and I feel like they still held their own against a really good May team who's also in the playoffs. And since then have kind of figured it out. It's, and that was the first game of the season. So, and that's at the point of the year where it's okay if you lose games because it's, they don't count against you. Yeah, I like where Iredell is, and it's gonna be a tough match. I mean, Oglesby is a tough team.
I like where Iredell is too, because whenever I'm driving back from Lubbock, there's a Conoco station that always has an accessible bathroom, nice availability of products there. You can get gas, and then you're just an hour away. It's like exactly an hour away from Waco.
Nice. We need to start getting some of these shout outs to sponsor us.
Oh yeah.
So
on that note, HEB gas lasted me the whole trip yesterday. That was almost 6 hours.
Nice. Good job. I'm going with Oglesby. Before the season, when I was writing up my previews of a lot of the 6-man programs, talking to Jeb Dixon, I was like, dude, you guys are ranked, like second in the state, what do you think about that? And he was like, he was sort of not diminishing, but he was just downplaying it. Some of those like Richland Springs and those guys that, are the traditional powers. He felt like they should be ranked ahead of Oglesby. And I think all they've done is gone out and lived up to that ranking this year. They've played really, really well. Kyler Fawcett is kind of their bell cow guy. He has like 42 rushing touchdowns on the year. But I think Iredell may be a little more, spread it out in terms of their production, with several guys. But even though Kyler Fawcett's kind of their stud, I think they've got some other pretty good players, including a kid, EJ Avilas, who was at Morgan and was a super-centex kid at Morgan. So he moved there to Oglesby. So, I like Oglesby, but I agree that I think it could be a pretty good, fun Central Texas game.
While we're on the subject of picks, let me just say that I'm banking on being the bad guy this week, because I've got Columbus, I've got Tioga, and I've got Gordon, right? And I need all three of those to catch Bryce.
Yes. Now we can always. I'm certainly willing to and we can have Wynn do this. We usually do it.
Spread it out.
Yeah, at least maybe by the state semifinals. A lot of times we'll do this where we open it up to the entire state picks, which that requires even more research. But and speaking of around the state, Chad can remember when we actually covered the Franklin Lions and the Academy Bumblebees in our Central Texas coverage area. Now we've tightened.
I covered a Franklin kid at the state tennis tournament one year.
Yeah, Austin Clores. He was good. We've tightened up our area over the years. We still cover like close to 70 football teams. But I say all that to say this. So if you include the Franklin Academy winner in there, we have the potential of 3 Central Texas matchups next week. And that would be Lorena, and I'm just going to say Franklin. I think Franklin will beat Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But Chilton, Bremond, and then Jonesboro and Abbott. So kind of a 2-part question here. Which of those matchups is the most likely to happen? And which would you most like to see?
Okay, so I'll jump in first. I think Jonesboro-Abbott is really likely. Like I said, I picked Gordon. That one may be a coin flip type of game. Abbott and Gordon, they're both pretty good for traditional 6-man powers.
Mm-hmm. That was a 31 to 24 game last year. Abbott won.
Yeah. And then I feel like Whitney and Lorena are probably, if we had, and somebody does like point spreads on games, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there a website out there?
Maybe Padilla poll. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I would say Lorena and Whitney are both touchdown to 10-point dogs this week.
Yeah. Well, the Lorena Whitney game, that's not one of the ones that's not out there.
Oh yeah.
Lorena-Franklin.
Oh yeah, so Chilton Bremond, that could be. I mean, I think probably Chilton-Granger is a pick'em.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to get sidetracked there, but yeah. But Lorena's an underdog. Chilton might be a slight underdog, but okay, yeah, I'm going with Abbott Jonesboro is my most likely. And the one I most want to see is Lorena-Franklin.
Yeah, that was a fun game that you covered that first. DJ, what do you think?
Well, I agree that Jonesboro-Abbott is the most likely out of these matchups to happen. But yeah, Lorena-Franklin should be, like the game, right? If Lorena beats Columbus and then has a rematch with Franklin, like that's a pretty big game. And you didn't mention this, and technically, neither Grandview or Malakoff are in our area, but if Whitney beats Winnsboro, they could play either of those teams. So it would be either a rematch with Grandview or playing Malakoff, which is the top school in that limestone.
Yeah, I think Malakoff is really tough too.
Yeah. So but I think Jonesboro-Abbott should be a good game. And then Lorena-Franklin will be probably the best matchup if it ends up happening. Yeah.
I would also love to see Chilton-Bremond. That's always a fun game, and of course
that was a 1-point game during the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bremond. Maybe and obviously the Eagle, our sister paper in Bryan-College Station, also covers Bremond, and they kind of sometimes slip under our radar, I would say, but they have Falls City this week. They're both 9-3. I think Bremond is certainly capable of winning that game. They have a great quarterback in Coben Zan, who had like 5 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns this past week. And so, yeah, I would love to see Chilton-Bremond too. But any of those matchups, if we get all 3, that would be awesome, because we know they would be close to Waco. We like that. We like having good games to cover. So
the other thing
rooting for all of them.
We might all be in the 6-man business next week.
It's true. Yeah. And back to that Abbott Gordon game. So that was a game last year that same round, Abbott won 31-24. And if you'll recall, and Michael Haig was out in Abbott at one point this season and got the correct pronunciation of Riley Shustala, right? Shustala, one of those Czech type last names. But Riley missed that game last year. And Riley's healthy. Joey Pavelka, their junior tight end defensive guy, is healthy after missing Abbott's first 2 playoff games with concussion. They got a center back that from a knee injury. So Abbott is about as healthy as it's been all year. And now Chad is regretting his Gordon pick very much. So
well, hey, I had to swing for the fence a little bit,
Sure,
I got some ground to make up.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, finally, let's pour one out for China Spring. The Cougars saw their 13-game playoff winning streak snapped at the hands of Anna. DJ wrote about that a couple of different times this week. Obviously her game story, but also in the rewind column. Anna thwarts that hope of a rare three-peat. It's very hard to do for a reason. So how impressive to you guys has this run been for China Spring? And do you feel like the Cougars will still remain one of those elite Class 4A programs? DJ, start with you.
Yeah, I do think that, they're going to continue to be a really good team and a really good program. I mean, they still have a lot of really good players coming back next year, even though they are graduating the majority of their guys. But the class that's coming back next year, I think, were freshmen when they won their first title, their first of the back-to-back titles. So, they've been there. They're going to want to get back. They're going to, want to erase this, season. Well, not erase, but just, come back and say, like, we're still that team, right? And I think Tyler Beatty has got them working really hard.
I like how you did that.
You know, it's a program that very much feels like they're going to be playing for each other. And they don't like to really listen to a lot of the outside noise. It was just, it's kind of a weird year. A lot of the guys that were producers last year moved on. And the ones that came back, like we said, they were really young, especially on defense. A lot of the O-line was also kind of young, and that game on Friday was just one of those games where it kind of looked like they were going uphill. They kind of hurt themselves a little bit. And when your defense isn't able to get a stop, it kind of just makes it harder on offense, and it puts pressure on you. And it was really tough, like the whole season, like thinking, oh, China Spring's not good anymore because they lost to Melissa and they lost to Parish Episcopal. And you know, they came into this week picked to lose against Anna by most people. But I still think that they're a good program. I think over the past, 3 years, they've built kind of a trust and a confidence, not just within themselves, but with the people around the program and the community, people like even people that, aren't from China Spring kind of like get tangled up with the hype of China Spring. I mean, I think a lot about Drake Toll and Cameron Stewart. Those are not even Texas boys. They're not even from the state. But they came in and kind of jumped on this bandwagon while they're covering these games for, radio and calling the games. And we always kind of joke about how over the top they get, but they're
it's representative of the China Spring bandwagon.
Yeah, basically.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even anything against them. I went to school with both those guys, and they're really passionate about what they do, and it kind of reflects a little bit about what China Spring does to people who are around the program long enough. It's you want to believe in this team, and I think that's kind of what the Cougars have like built up over the last 3-4 years. And so I don't think
I'm glad you said it like that, because that's I'm going to steal it from you now and jump in. 3 or 4 years they've been in won 2 state championships. But you're talking about a program that's been a district champion caliber program for 20 years, 25 years maybe.
Yeah,
going back to
Mark Bell built that up, and these guys have guys like Brian Bell, his son, and Tyler Beatty have taken the baton and run with it.
But I think what you have now is with those 2 state championships, I think you kick it up a notch in the especially for middle schoolers, watching the varsity going, wow, we're really good. And that plays a role in how those kids start playing football in the 7th, maybe even 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade for sure. And I think what you're going to see is maybe in the next few years, like you saw with Midway when they went from the Kramer Robertson, Ryan Smith, Sam Glaceman period, then on to like the Ben Hicks, Tanner Mordecai, John Hubert teams. Those kids, that are youngsters when they start doing it, want to be the ones to keep doing it. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw a new crop of stars emerge in China Spring in the next year or two.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a shout out to just the leadership there, starting at the top, really with, not the top, but, athletic top with Josh Gregory at the athletic director position. They're a program that is good in really all sports. Across the board. They care. They're invested. They have good support from the community. Good students, good athletes. And you see that translate to a lot of success, and then trickle down to their football coaching staff. I think, there was questions, I think, after Brian Bell left, whether Tyler Beatty, it was his first head coaching job. Would he be able to kind of keep this train rolling? Obviously he did. But, beyond him, I think I look at guys like John Exline and Brendan Smith and all those assistant coaches that they have out there at China Spring. And I think those kids are coached up well, and, fundamentally sound and have good technique. And so, I think that's where you start, and then you get good players on top of that. And the big question to me will be just who's the next quarterback, obviously, because they've had a little bit of an embarrassment of riches at quarterback the last couple of years with Major Bowden and then Cash McCollum.
Both move-ins too, right?
Yeah, that's true. Both. Yeah, exactly. So maybe China Spring needs to do some recruiting, get some of that NIL money.
Division I transfer portal.
Go out and find you a quarterback. Oh boy, we're gonna get China Spring in trouble here.
I gotta believe too that this is gonna carry over into other sports. Like even though they didn't win another football championship, it's very likely that they could repeat in baseball, that maybe the basketball team picks up some steam. A lot of those guys also run track. I mean, Coach Mike McCollum is also the track coach, and he's an assistant coach for the football team. So I got to believe that everything's going to kind of trickle over into the other sports, just like the other sports have trickled over into football. But yeah.
And there's probably about 3 more X lines coming down the line, right?
Sure. I mean, Caden is only a sophomore.
The X line
they never seem to run out of X lines. Shout out to the other programs at China Spring for sure. I saw a post yesterday where they won their basketball game yesterday, and a kid that I've known since he was that big, Hudson Phillips, kid I went to church with for many years, had 5 3-pointers. So, they're doing good things out at China Spring, and good for the Cougars. It is Thanksgiving week. Enjoy the time with your family, and then we will be back covering some football. Chad, you are going to
Crowley for Marlin versus Tioga. Do we know? Do we have an official translation on that?
I don't know. We'll just call them whatever. We'll just call them whatever we want. Call them whatever you want.
Well, it's the Bulldogs versus the Bulldogs, and I feel like you have maybe kind of a Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson QB matchup in Tioga's Hayden Hilliard, who's thrown for 3,300 yards this season, and Marlin's Roderick Suiters, who threw 3 touchdowns, totaling like 240 yards in the first half last week.
Wow. Yeah. That should be a fun one for sure. Marlin's been really on a roll. So good win last week to pull it out against Coleman. DJ, you will see those mighty Mart Panthers who we haven't talked about at all on the podcast today.
Yeah, I will be in Huntsville because that's the closest game.
It's the furthest east.
It's the furthest east.
I got to retract saying that we're going to be in the 6-man business next week. I never want to diss the Mart Panthers.
Yeah, good call.
I think they're easy to kind of slip by when we're talking about these teams because you kind of expect them to be there anyway.
You kind of set your Mart alarm clock for the 5th round, right?
Yeah, basically. And I didn't think I was going to see them this early. Honestly, I was like thinking, I'm probably not going to see Mart till the championship game, but here we are.
But Mart has earned its coverage for sure. And we're trying to get to as many games as possible. And I think we're hitting 7 of the 9 this week. So that's pretty good. Mart plays, who did we say?
Overton,
that's right.
Deweyville. No, they played Overton last week.
Yes, that's Deweyville. It is Deweyville, correct.
Sorry.
Basically another sacrificial lamb for those more.
Now, it's not jinxing either.
Yeah, well,
it's a fine line with the Mart folks.
If Kevin Hoffman's listening, he's like, shut up. I, as mentioned, gonna try to hit that Chilton-Granger game. I also have a Baylor basketball game to follow on Friday, but I think I can pull off the double there. So looking forward to that. That'll be down in Belton. So, and then we'll have more games next week and should be fun. So y'all enjoy your Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See ya.